Let's get you the markets update now. Local markets expected to track Asian stocks today after a strong start to the week's trading session. But all eyes will be on Statistics South Africa releasing Q1 GDP figures with the high-frequency activity data and the survey data suggesting that the economy sustained good momentum at the start of the year. Well, let's get a sense now of how the markets are going to digest this. Makwe Masilela is Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Dada Masilela, good to talk to us on Tuesday. As I say, you usually come around here on Thursday, just as the week wraps up. But good to talk to you on a Tuesday. Let's start with the recovery in 2021, Q4 of the year that we've just come from. That quarterly non-annualized GDP print, widely expected to paint a picture that suggests the economy will probably have grown by 1.3%. What will your expectations be?
Morning to you and to the viewers. We expect anything around 1.4, 1.5. Probably maybe we need to record something that economic, a prerequisite for economic growth is to get to see employment. And as we've seen with Q1, that there was some improvement when it comes to our labor survey, that our unemployment rate went down. And you ask yourself that the numbers that we saw in Q4 that took the GDP down, the likes of mining, one of them, construction and finance. And also when you look at the employment numbers for Q1 2022, you see that the likes of construction, the likes of finance continue to lose jobs. But on the positive side, we've seen the likes of manufacturing and trade helping our GDP in Q1 to grow. And also when it comes to Q1 GDP numbers, we expect to see manufacturing and trade continue to benefit us because we've seen as well they managed to create the necessary jobs in Q1 of 2022, which is manufacturing and trade. But the problem is, as much as we see an improvement going forward, we don't expect to see that happening because Q1 doesn't factor in the KZN floods, doesn't factor in the war in Ukraine, and also we expect the mining not to show a good improvement when it comes to Q1 GDP because of those people who are striking at Sibanye, meaning the gold miners at Sibanye. So we expect that to weigh negatively when it comes to the GDP. But overall, we expect at least anything around 1.4 to 1.5 economic growth for Q1 of 2022.
I wonder whether load shedding is going to be a factor at all. But nonetheless, let's soldier on, talk about company news. The Diversified Chemicals Group, this is Omnia Holdings, expecting earnings to have risen by up to, and wait for it, 90% when they release their financial performance. Why are they so optimistic? Do you share the same view?
We do, because their strategy is starting to pay off. The guys are turning around. Remember, the guys have challenges. They had challenges from COVID-19, supply chain disruptions, bad weather, and also volatile input costs. But all those were mitigated by them focusing more on consumers, also making sure that they optimize supply chain and at the same time integrating manufacturing activity. Hence, the likes of the revenue, operating margin, and also cash generation improved as well. So it's not surprising to expect for them to expect that kind of an increase when it comes to profits as a headline earnings per share.
Yeah, let's talk about Discovery Health now. Very interesting route they're likely to take here, announcing that it will start a firefighting service for its Johannesburg clients. And this is yet another indication of the private sector trying to close the gap where the state is lagging.
Definitely, and we expect to see more of those things, People who can afford, the private sector will step in, and people who can afford their services, definitely they will pay for that. We've seen with health, we've seen with schooling, stuff like that, and it's not surprising because all in all, Discovery ensure they have to make sure that the losses gets to be less when it comes to their clients. So if they can help out that your house doesn't get to be burnt out totally, then it's good for them because they don't have to pay out that whole amount. And I think we expect some of the guys to start also doing the same thing. Probably they will start pairing up with the existing firefighters to see how can we help this whole situation. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't just help consumers of their clients, it also talks to their books as an insurer that you don't have a lot of claims.
Let's wrap it up with good news from the JSE. A company called Southern Palladium and CA Sales, they'll be listing on the bourse, and this is good news, Makwe Masilela, because many of the companies have been seen delisting from the JSE. Who are these companies?
I agree with you. That's good news for the JSE, starting with Southern Palladium, with an Australian company with a 70% interest in the Bushveld mining facility. That's Bangwenyama, somewhere in Limpopo. I mean, that project, they've got almost 18.8 million ounces of palladium, rhodium, platinum, and gold. And yes, the guys, they had an initial public offering where they sold almost 38 million shares, and they managed to raise almost 19 million US dollars. And if you translate that, it gives them a market cap of almost 693 million. So I think that's good news for the JSE going forward. And CA Sales, basically the guys are involved in the warehousing, distribution of the fast-moving goods. So the guys have been operating South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana. But what they'll be doing these ones, they're not raising any money, Cody. They're just moving their listing from the Cape Town Stock Exchange to the JSE because they feel they'll be able to raise good money going forward should a need arise.
Makwe Masilela, Chief Investment Officer and founder at Makwe Fund Managers. Thank you very much for that markets update.